right, welcome everybody to the 2023 annual meeting of the Corporators. I am Sue Drummey, the president of the Board of Trustees. Are you having a hard time hearing me?
You don't have a microphone?
We're getting one set up. That's what I was just going to say. We're getting a microphone set up so it's a little bit easier to hear us. But thank you all for coming tonight. If you haven't already signed in, please do that. And we also have sign-ups for volunteers if anybody's interested in helping out any of the various committees we have on the board. So please add your name, and if there's a specific interest you have, let us know, and we'd be happy to have your help in whatever capacity you're willing to share. So we'll officially call the meeting to order. It is 7:05. And as I introduce myself, what I'd like to do is introduce the board members that are here this evening. So Linda Saltis, do you want to?
Oh, sorry.
No?
Does anyone need a copy of the annual report that doesn't have one? No.
Okay, Linda Saltis is here, Candy Pennington, Mark Moran, Susan Hinger. I know her last name. We have Harry Rock over this way, and we have Phil Cameron over here, Donna Burkott, Marie Flayhive, Debbie Strykars, and where did Janie go?
Jane's over there.
Jane is over there hiding by the door. So there are a few of us that aren't here tonight, but several of us are up for re-election, so we'll get to that part of the nominating committee section. So I'm going to call Linda Saltis up. She works with me on the nomination committee, and we will share with you the trustee members that are up for term extensions, and we have a vote that will be taking place tonight for the officers of the Board of Trustees, as well as another individual that's being appointed to the Corporators.
So the report of the nominating committee is that we will have one new corporator to vote in tonight, and that's Caitlin Bruce. You may or may not know she's our new city clerk, and she's very honored to be part of our corporators. We have directors for 3-year terms whose terms are expiring, and that would be people who have said that they wanted to serve yet another term, thank goodness, and that would be Sue Drummey, Marie Flayhive, Mark Moran, and myself. And then we have officers for the upcoming year, and the people who have agreed to serve are Sue Drummey has agreed to serve as president. Tracy Kester, who is not here. She's not here tonight, will be our vice president. Mark Moran will continue to serve as our treasurer. Debbie Strykars will continue to serve as our assistant treasurer. And then Candy Pennington will be our secretary. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I turn it over to you.
Okay, we will move to elections and swearing in. Okay, so seeing that there are no elections from the floor, we'll declare nominations closed and ask for a motion that the secretary cast one ballot for the corporator presented by the nominating committee.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved. So we now have Joy, I'm sorry. So Caitlin Bruce is officially elected as a corporator. Okay, so I'll now administer the oath of office for those. I'm sorry, did somebody have a comment? Okay, sorry. So I'll now swear in the board members who have been elected or agreed to serve as another term. You can raise your hands and repeat after me as we finish the oath. So do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties incumbent on you as an appointed official of the Westfield Athenaeum, so help you God? If so, please say I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. Appreciate everybody's support with that, and I'll turn things over to Mark Moran for the financial auditor's report.
I'm a lot of it. Usually, our auditor, Larry Zabilski, is one who gets up here at this point to read you the auditor's report. He is going in for a hip replacement Wednesday. I don't know if you remember last year, the people who were here, he couldn't even get out of his chair to read it. I'm going to go out on a limb and think you guys are pretty good readers. So you can read this at your leisure, the independent audit report. I will tell you what it is. It's basically saying two things. One, the numbers that are on the report are ours. We're responsible for them, and there are our numbers. And two, Larry, as the auditor, has gone over the numbers and agreed with them. So we got a clean opinion, and that's good. I just want to talk about 3 statements that we have, just to go over what kind of year we had. We had a really good year, and I'll tell you why. The first statement here is a statement of financial position. It's really a balance sheet. It's where we stood as of June 30th, 2023, and it's made up of 2 columns. We got the without donor restrictions and the with donor restrictions. The without donor restrictions are basically our operations. That's money we use to run the place. We had $192,000 at the end of the fiscal year. We had small account receivable, and we also had net buildings and equipment, which is capital assets that were purchased from day one and have been depreciated over time. That's why it's a net of just under $3 million. So we have total assets of over $3 million. Our liabilities are, well, we do well with our liabilities. It's just $4,500. That might be, I don't know, probably the gas and electric bill, telephone bill, things that came in afterwards that included what we owed as of June 30, but we didn't pay yet. Accrued payroll, that's a pretty big number, $36,000. It just so happened that this past fiscal year, we pay every other week. And we didn't pay what everyone worked through June until the first week of July. So that's why we owed $36,000, because people had worked that time through June 30th. With donor restrictions, the with donor restrictions are basically what it says is that we can only use that money for specific purposes. Be it the interest only would be generated that we could use, but the principal we can never touch. There are accounts that we have for capital renovations. We have accounts set up for that. We also have the different timing issues that we had. We had a lot of grants come in. They come in at the end of the fiscal year that we haven't provided the programs for yet. We also have our investments, a little under, well, $3.8 million, a little under $3.9 million. Good year this year, and I think most people who have investments probably had a pretty good year, although now it's kind of tapered off a little bit. The way we generate the revenue from those investments, we take a 3-year average from the prior June 30th. So we would have went back to 2022, 2021, and 2020, take the average, and we take 5%. And that's what we generate from that. The bottom line is the net assets. That's just the difference between your assets and your liabilities, and that's basically where we've accumulated a net worth from day one, from the day this place opened, and we're at $8.4 million. So that's pretty much the balance sheet where we stood with our assets and liabilities as of June 30th. The next slide, that is the income for the year. So that's basically the activity from July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. And again, we had a very good year. And I'll go over why. We receive $1,085,000 from the city of Westfield, who's been very, very good to us. Mayor McCabe and the council are always pretty open to what we need. We also get a state grant for $108,000. How we get that state grant is based on the city has to provide us with an appropriation over the prior 3 years. It has to be 2.5% more. And we also have to spend a certain amount of money, which generally is about 13% of our appropriation, on books, which we should. So we had $1,085,000. We also had $108,000 from the state. We received a $75,000 grant from the state, and it took them about 6 months to tell us what we could spend it on. They didn't even know. And basically, we can spend it on the arts. And the board has pretty much decided a lot of that money is going to go into the Ram Museum as a renovation, which we needed, and it's kind of a nice godsend. I don't know if that's ARPA money, but it's federal money that's been given to us, so we're very appreciative. Revenues and fines, that's made up of a lot of things. Fines being a small portion because we really don't fine that much anymore. We have lease income in there, we have rental income, we have income that we've collected for the different type of programs that we did, the trips to Tanglewood, etc. Income from investments, $3,800 which is, this column again is our operating. The income in investments is really the interest that we get from the different money that's spun off from the cash. Gifts and capital grants. That's why we had a good year. Gifts were $250,000, which is outstanding. A big bulk of that was money we received from the Suzanne Davis estate, which was about $200,000, which was unbelievable. And then we transferred money, some of that money, between the two. The board decided we were going to transfer $250,000, which we did, into the capital renovation fund, which now, well, at that point stood at about $320,000 for the next phase that we're going to do as far as renovations. With donor restriction side, we had the $75,000, again, that's spoken for a specific purpose. The income from our investments was $71,000. Gifts and capital grants, a lot of that is the grants we received from Shirtlift, the Friends, who's been very good to us, Sarah Gillett, Westfield Academy. Those are the funds we received. And again, we did transfer money between the operating to the restricted. And again, we had a nice jump in our investments, a net investment jump, which was very, very good. I mean, that's why we have a good year. It's between donations and what our investments do. We don't sell anything. So the money we receive is usually, what we receive is dependent on what type of year we have. So here's our total revenue for the year. Here are our expenses, which I'll show on the next slide. And our net, we had a $600,000 profit, which was really, really good. If you go to the next slide, I'll tell you what our expenses were. So these are the types of expenses we had throughout the year. The vast majority of our expenses are books and payroll. And that's how it always is. The different programs that we do, the various programs that we do are based on what type of grants we receive, so we can provide the programs, otherwise we don't do them. We had a very busy year in repairs and maintenance this year. It's an old building, and we're trying to do, in the future, preventive maintenance, which we haven't been able to do just because we didn't have the funds to do it. I think we're in a position now, currently, that we're going to be more aggressive to try to have preventive maintenance instead of just putting our finger in the leak. But for the most part, we had a real good year. And again, appreciate all you guys do. Any donations that we get are very, very much appreciative. And if you guys, anyone has any questions, you can call me, I'm in the book, or you can call Larry, and we'd be more than happy to go over anything with you.
It's good to see everybody tonight. I'm glad the weather cooperated. It was a beautiful day, so it was really nice. Let me begin by saying that this has been an incredibly active year with so many events, programs, exhibits, concerts, and wonderful new developments. Although I'm going to attempt to give you an overview of the year's activities, I certainly can't cover everything. I know that you all want to be home before midnight, so I'm going to just go over the high points of things here. But before I lay out an overview of our statistics and activities this last year, I want to briefly talk about reading in America and the effect that has on communities across the country. America's reading habits are not encouraging. From 2004 to 2017, reading among men dropped 40%. Among women, it dropped 29%. Another study found that between 1978 and 2014, a period of 36 years, the number of people who hadn't read a single book in the previous year tripled. Sadly, we now live in a country that at least 1 in 4 adults and 1 in 3 teens never read a book. And the people between the ages of 15 and 44 who do read in this country, on average, spend less than 10 minutes a day with a book in their hands. Thank goodness for all of us over age 51, because we average 50 minutes a day, isn't it? And Americans don't do well compared with Asians and Europeans. The average reader in China reads about 8 hours a day. The average reader in Sweden reads almost 7 hours, 8 hours a week.
I was going to say, that's a great job.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? The average reader in Sweden reads about 7 hours a week. We Americans who do occasionally pick up a book read about 5 hours and 40 minutes. On average. That number places us at 23rd in the world compared with the average in other countries. I have to say that I really find it disturbing that 22 countries have higher average reading than the United States, but that's the reality. Compare that with the time we spend on electronic devices. According to one study, Americans spend a staggering 11 hours and 54 minutes a day on some sort of media device. So I was saying when I made the mistake of saying 8 hours a day, in China reading. Well, we do spend that much time on media. We Americans spend almost 4 hours a day watching television alone, which means that we spend almost as much time watching television in a single day as we spend reading in a week. What is even more troubling to me is that the largest drop in reading over the last decade was not among those with low levels of education, as you might expect, but it was among college graduates. That was the group that had the largest drop. From 2016 to 2021, just a 5-year period, the amount of time college graduates in this country spent reading dropped by more than 25%. Now, I'm well aware that all of you here tonight know the importance of reading and learning, or you wouldn't be here tonight. But I think it's worth reminding all of us that society benefits in a variety of ways from citizens that read and are well informed. Studies have shown that the amount a person chooses to read can be directly linked to economic earning power and career success. Reading develops discernment, teaches values, and cultivates cultural continuity. Readers are more engaged in their communities. They are better at fostering family cohesion, and they are better able to evaluate information encountered in everyday life. Of course, everyone must make their own decisions about how much to read, how much time to spend on their leisure activities. But public libraries can make a huge difference in how much a community reads. Several studies have shown that communities with strong public libraries have more active readers and more engaged citizens. And I think I can say without hesitation that the activities that I'm about to report to you show that the Westfield Athenaeum, through its reader services, its programs, its lectures, its concerts, its history museum, and its art gallery, are providing a range of cultural activities that are making a huge difference in our community. Let's now turn to the numbers that provide a picture of just how active we have been over the last year. First, let's begin with our Adult Services Department, led by Becky Blackburn, who became head of Adult Services last March, and she's back here running the laptop for us here tonight. I'm going to say that she's already established herself as a leader with enthusiasm, energy, and great ideas. As you can see from this slide, we now have almost 25,000 books in our Adult Services section and more than 4,900 videos. But we now live in the digital age, and the Athenaeum, along with many other institutions, is very much a part of the world of automation and cloud computing. And there's nothing that shows that more than our connection to CW Mars, our regional library system, which makes thousands of books available electronically and physically. In fact, as you can see from the slide, we have access through this system to more than 109,000 books and some 72,000 audio recordings. So it really expands the scope of what we can offer in the physical building. Our Youth Services Department, ably led by Megan Doyle, has more than 9,600 books available for children and more than 6,300 books for teens. The department also maintains almost 600 audio recordings and more than 1,100 videos. All totaled, the Athenaeum maintains a collection of more than 39,000 books and other print material, 3,500 audio items, and more than 6,500 videos. And all of these items are being used by our patrons. When everything is added up from both departments, more than 104,500 books and print items were checked out, more than 8,000 audio items were borrowed, and more than 28,000 videos were checked out by our community. When you add in the use of our electronic materials to the total of physical items, more than 173,000 items were borrowed by our patrons over the course of the year. Since we have just under 15,000 registered cardholders, which means that more than a third of the total population of Westfield has a library card. That's an average of 11.5 items checked out by each of our patrons each year. I think that's pretty good. As I pointed out earlier, we currently live in a society that has shown a marked decline in reading over the last several decades, but we here at the Athenaeum were actually able to increase the number of items checked out compared to last year by more than 1,500 items. I can't help but feel that that increase must be due to the active programs and hard work of our library staff and the leadership provided by our board of directors, ably led by our board president, Sue Drummey. And speaking of the hard work of our staff, checking out books and videos is just a small part of what our professionals do every day. The public library is one of the few places available for Americans to find a well-trained and knowledgeable person to help them with their informational needs. And in a country that finds a way to charge for everything, this service is totally free to anyone who walks in the door. Each month, our staff members answer more than 500 questions. These questions range over a wide number of topics. A typical question might be, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me put together a resume? Another question might be, I'm working on my genealogy. Can you help me find an ancestor who lived in Westfield in the 18th century? Often, a patron comes in and asks us to assist them in applying for Social Security benefits. In the Youth Services Department, the librarians are often asked questions about literacy, such as, my child is struggling to read at grade level. Can you suggest books that might help me assist my child improve their reading skills? From day to day, our reference librarians never know what the question will be, but they are always ready to help these patrons, no matter what they request. The next area we need to discuss is programming. To me, the single most important component of what the modern library offers the communities it serves. And programming is something our staff has been devoted to providing in a variety of ways. The numbers you see here make this crystal clear. All in all, we provided 310 live in-person programs over the course of the year. If you think about it, that's almost one a day. And those programs were attended by more than 5,000 people. We also provided 7 off-site programs and 14 virtual programs. Finally, in an age when everyone turns to the internet for information, we added 9 programs that can be viewed by simply going to our website or accessing YouTube. In fact, we now have more than 100 videos available for viewing on YouTube. The next time you get tired of watching all the junk on Netflix, just consider watching one of our history or art videos on the internet or on our website. But that is only the tip of the iceberg of the things we offer on our website. In fact, there are so many videos, recorded programs, book recommendation lists, links to sources of information, and other things on our website that it would take me at least an hour to tell you all of them. This slide shows how our website experiences more and more traffic every year. This year, the website was visited some 109,000 times, an increase of more than 11,000 visits over last year's total. As I said earlier, I know all of you want to get home before midnight, so rather than going into all of these offerings, I'll just recommend that when you have a few minutes, go to our website and simply explore. You will be amazed at what is available just on the website. And to keep yourself up to date, if you aren't signed up for Wildberry, you're missing out on an excellent book recommendation email that is delivered to your email account on a regular basis. But before we move on to the topic of programming, I have to mention a few of the exceptional programs we offered this year. In our art gallery, we featured 4 wonderful art exhibits. We began last fall with an exhibit of the lyrical abstract paintings of Laura Radwell. We finished last year with a show of the deeply introspective paintings of Frank Grassati. And he commented that his first exposure to original art was in the Rand Gallery when he was a child back in the 1950s. Isn't this a perfect example of how the things we do here at the Athenaeum can have an impact that lasts a lifetime? The exhibits he saw here as a young man inspired him to study art and gave him his profession, and then led to a wonderful exhibit this last year. In the spring, we began with the paintings of Christine Hartman, known for her evocative still life paintings. Our feature exhibit this last summer was a beautiful show of the works of Marie Crane Yvonne, who creates atmospheric paintings of deep forests and the sea. Probably our most popular programs of the year were the Archives Dives that Bob Brown presented every month from January to May of this year. These were extremely well attended and led to numerous discussions about the history of Westfield. They even spurred several people to donate artifacts to the Athenaeum and launched a project to preserve important records in the city clerk's office. We have already twisted Bob's arm and talked to him into presenting more in the near future. Keep checking our website for the upcoming dates. I have to say, these are not to be missed. If you haven't heard one of Bob's presentations, you've missed out on a real treat. By the way, several of Bob's history presentations are some of the films that we have on YouTube and on our website. We also hosted a series of 3 chamber music concerts by musicians of the Springfield Symphony Orchestra. These concerts featured a wide selection of music from the history of classical music and were some of our most popular events of the year. Westfield has no other venue presenting classical music, so these concerts are an important contribution to the cultural life of the city. And to round out our musical programs, the Athenaeum organized a trip to Tanglewood this summer to hear a concert of the music of George Gershwin. This trip was so popular that we completely filled the bus. Let me conclude by highlighting just a few of the plans and projects for the next year. Now that we have updated the history exhibits in the Smith Room upstairs, and I hope everybody got a chance to go up there and take a look at it, we plan on having that room open on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This will greatly expand the artifacts documenting the history of Westfield that will be available for the public to see. But we need volunteers to serve as docents each week. If you're interested in helping on this and signing up for a shift, please put your name and contact information on the sign-up sheet we have available. Susan Kringa, the chair of our museum committee, will be in touch with you to get you started. And we also plan on having some orientation, so if you feel like you don't know enough about history to do it, don't worry about that. We'll give you a good orientation. We also plan to host another season of chamber music concerts with the Springfield Symphony. This year, we are increasing the number of concerts we're hosting from 3 to 4. And the first concert is this Thursday night, October 26th, right here in the Lang. And then look for 3 more concerts in February, March, and April. Tickets are available tonight for those of you who are interested in the week's concert. You can buy a single ticket, or you can buy tickets for all 4. And if you buy all 4, you get a $10 discount. We also plan to host our 3rd trip to Tanglewood next summer. If you want to join us for that trip, be sure to check our website in April. We should have the date and the information on the trip available at that time. In addition to our Tanglewood trip, we hope to feature trips to museums in the region. Just last month, we went up to the Clark Museum to see the Edvard Munch exhibit. It was a lot of fun, and it gave our Athenaeum patrons interested in art a chance to meet others of the same interests. If you'd like to go to museums around New England, look for our future trips. At this point, we hope to have a trip scheduled for March or April of next year. Again, check the website for more details on that. In addition to all the fun stuff, we have a lot of hard work to do over the next year. We have a wonderful building, but as Mark pointed out, it's old and it needs a lot of TLC. Our building committee, led by Linda Saltus, and our fundraising committee, led by Jane Mulligan, is working diligently to raise the funds for major restoration projects in the Great Hall, the Rand Gallery, and other locations. And with that in mind, please take a minute to purchase tickets for our wine tasting on December 1st. This is our most important fundraiser of the year. Also, if you would like to volunteer, there's a sign-up sheet located on the table. We need volunteers for setup, cleanup, and wine pourers. We also need more sponsors, and there is a form to sign up for that if you would like to do that. We also hope to build off the success of our programs this year and add even more offerings to our community. Our staff is dedicated to programming that is informative and relevant to our community. If you have ideas for new programming, we are always open to suggestions. All you have to do is pick up the phone or email Sarah Abadamarco, our outreach librarian. Also, keep in mind that in addition to the programs the library staff members organize, we offer a convenient meeting space for outside groups. If you know of an organization that needs a place to meet, we may be able to offer a meeting room that will meet their needs. Again, just call Sarah to make those arrangements. And finally, our entire staff of dedicated professionals works diligently in order to offer the highest quality service possible each and every day. We have a great team here, and they look for ways to make the library the best it can be every day. But they can't do it alone. They need the support of the community. Like many nonprofits around the United States, and keep in mind that we are not a city department, the support we receive from the city, from grants, and from private donors has not stayed up with inflation over the last 2 or 3 decades. It seems like each year it gets a little bit harder to find the resources we need to provide our services to our patrons. As corporators, your advocacy of our activities in the community is absolutely vital to continuing the important work that the Athenaeum performs. I look forward to working with all of you to accomplish our ambitious goals over the next year. Thank you very much.
We have just a couple of housekeeping items. So we had the auditor's report and the financial report.
I move that we accept them as presented.
Right ahead of me there, Harry. Thank you so much. So, thank you. So, Harry put forward a motion to accept both of those reports as presented. Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, and we would also ask your input on a motion to accept the minutes from last year's meeting as submitted. So moved. Second.
One quick question.
Yes.
When looking at them, unless I'm missing them, I did not see a motion on here that where we accepted the auditor's report from last year.
From last year?
Am I missing that?
We did accept it from...
Right, I know we accepted it, but I don't see it reflected here.
Yeah. back to the...
So I would move that we accept the minutes as presented with the addition of
With the addition of the
the
auditors and the
inclusion of
financial
the
report.
acceptance of the auditor's report.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved. Thank you, everybody, and with that, I think we can go ahead and close this year's meeting. Again, thank you for all of your support. I don't think there's ever been a more exciting time here at the Athenaeum, and that's, again, as Guy says, thanks to all of you and the hardworking board members and the staff here at the Westfield Athenaeum. So thanks again. Look forward to seeing you around our great